Do you want to have more flexibility and some structure in your diet? That's what today's episode's about. It's about anchor meals and how to incorporate those so that you can hit your goals. Let's go. All right, so first off, what is an anchor meal? So my definition of an anchor meal are a set of meals that provide stability and allow for flexibility at times in the day when you're not certain you can get your next meal. Anchor meals provide structure in that you fit them into times during the day when you know you're going to be able to eat. Now, these are going to be different for everybody. Some people may have anchors or points in time where they can fit in breakfast and others can't. Some people may be able to fit in lunch. Others have busy schedules. They can't do lunch. Some people might do better with an anchor meal for dinner. Some people might do better with flexibility at dinner. That's what we're going to get into. We're going to talk about the psychological benefits of anchor meals and various ways to incorporate them into different schedules and what some anchor meals look like. All right, so let's start with some psychological benefits. The one main benefit I see from all this is that anchor meals really simplify decision making. So if you're a fan of IIFYM, or if it fits your macros, anchor meals will actually help you not be a little bit more flexible, but provide a bit more structure into your dieting so that you don't have to choose all the time. Additionally, for anyone who uses strict meal plans, this is a great way to begin incorporating flexibility into your diet. So instead of 3 to 6 pre-planned meals that you have set at certain times, if your life changes up, if you change jobs, if you start going to school, if you start doing something else, you can begin incorporating anchor meals at very key points in your day when you know you can have a meal, and then the rest of the time you can fit in with other things that will help you hit your macro goals and be a little bit more flexible, like a shake or something else. So how do we select anchor meals? First, let's start with picking a number of meals we're going to have in the day. Generally speaking, I think 3 to 6 meals a day is probably an ideal sort of sweet point to have for meals. So let's go with 4. 4 would be somewhere in the middle, and I think most of us could get in at least 4 meals a day or 3 meals and a snack. We're gonna say this is a non-training day, so we don't have to worry about peri-workout nutrition or anything like that. You can absolutely incorporate your shakes and anything you take around your workout into this, but just for the sake of ease, we're gonna say this is a non-training day. For this 4-meal structure, we're gonna say 2 of them are anchor meals. What do we want in an anchor meal? An anchor meal, in my opinion, should be comprised of a decent amount of protein. In this case, 4 meals, 2 meals being anchor meals. We're gonna say at least half of our protein we're gonna want in that. Seems pretty reasonable. Half your meals have half your protein. But the caveat here comes with carbs and fats. I feel like anchor meals should be much lower in fat than the rest of your meals in the day. Now, why is that? In my opinion, just from what I've seen in myself, and with my clients, things generally fall off the rails whenever we are thrown into situations that we're not used to. So if we're used to structured meal plans or anything like that, and it comes to the end of the day and we get thrown off by coworkers asking us to go out to eat, or family members asking us to go to the movies or do something that requires sort of a modification of macronutrients, people tend to sort of fall off the ledge in those circumstances. They either eat their meals and then eat so much more on top of that that they overshoot their calorie goals, or they just completely forget about their meal, or actually they just tell their family and friends no, and they end up not getting invited to things in the future. Really, the reason for keeping your anchor meals low to moderate in fats is so that you can have flexibility, or even more flexibility, throughout the rest of the day whenever you are trying to be more flexible. Fats are the most calorie-dense macronutrient, so having them sort of saved for the end of the day really just allows you to be more flexible. Some examples. For breakfast, a good anchor meal, in my opinion, would be something like 2 hard-boiled eggs, some egg whites, some oatmeal. It doesn't have to be plain oats, it could be the flavored oats. I actually like the high fiber flavored oats. And then some fruit on top of that. And that would be a pretty diverse, high protein, high carb, and low to moderate fat breakfast. You could even get rid of some of the egg yolks if you wanted to have even lower fat. Moving on to lunch, you could have something similarly low in fat, but a different set of foods. So something like grilled chicken, great. I think everybody loves grilled chicken. Sweet potatoes mixed with brown rice or whatever flavor of rice you want to have. And then lastly, some kind of stir fry for vegetables. What you have there is very high in protein, really high in carbs, and then low to moderate in fat, really depending on how you cook the chicken. And if you're grilling the chicken, it really shouldn't have any fat on it at all. A thing to remember about anchor meals is that you need to be able to hit these meals close to 100% of the time. We're not looking for rigidity here, but the closer you can get to being on point most of the time, the better off you're going to be, because these anchor meals are meant to set the tone for the rest of your dieting. Now that we have an idea about anchor meals, we have the 4 meals. We're going to do 2 anchor meals, the breakfast of oatmeal and whatnot in the mornings, and then we have our grilled chicken and sweet potatoes in the afternoon. What are we going to do with the rest of our calories, I hear you say? This is what we do next. Let's say we've already had our 2 anchor meals, plus we've thrown a flexible meal in there, a shake and a sandwich, something else that we got from the work food vendor that most of us have, I think. And so that leaves us in our hypothetical, well, we're going to put it out there now, our hypothetical 3,000 calorie diet. We're going to say we've consumed 2/3 of our calories that we need for the day, leaving us with 1,000 calories. Now, what should we do with that 1,000 calories? Well, assuming that we front-loaded our protein, got at least 50 in the first 2 meals because those were our anchors, and then got somewhere around, 20 to 25 with our 3rd meal, that is going to leave us with something like 20 to 25% of our protein go left, and then the rest, carbohydrates and fats. Remember, none of this is magic. This is just what I do, this is what's worked for me, and this is what's worked for my friends and people I've worked with. So if you find that it's too flexible for you, feel free to add in more anchor meals. If you find it too formal or too rigid, have 1 less anchor meal. The point of anchor meals is just to make it easier to hit your macronutrients, micronutrients, and other type goals. Something else to consider while flexible dieting, just pure flexible dieting, we have a hard time hitting fiber goals and various things like that. This is another reason for anchor meals, because they will allow you to structure in higher fiber foods, higher micronutrient dense foods, and otherwise we probably wouldn't get if we were going out to restaurants or other venues with family and friends. The anchor meals really just provide us so much structure that we don't really have to concern ourselves outside of just hitting a certain amount of protein for meals later on in the day. Back to our last meal of the day, 3,000 calories. We've already taken 2,000. Let's go to Taco Bell. What does 1,000 calories look like at Taco Bell? I'm gonna go with a chicken enchilada burrito and a double-decker taco. The reason I picked these is that they are some of the more moderate things on the Taco Bell list. I believe the first one is 380 calories and the second 330 calories. But the cool thing about them is their macronutrient breakdown. For the chicken enchilada burrito, we are looking at 19 grams of protein, 49 carbs, 12 grams of fat. For the double-decker taco supreme, left out that supreme part, 13 grams of protein, 38 carbs, 14 grams of fat, leaving us with a grand total of 710 calories, 31 grams of protein, 87 carbs, 26 fat. I would probably throw some veggies on top of that just to help with satiety. I mean, anytime you can guarantee your fullness by eating a bit more vegetables, that's probably ideal. So you're looking at somewhere in the range of like 750 to 800 calories, all things combined, for this last meal of the day. And if you have stuck around this long, the thing I promised you in the beginning is the cool concept that this is all related to. And this is related to anti-fragility, a concept coined and created by Nassim Taleb. And the point of developing an anti-fragile sort of dieting system is so that you can benefit from unpredictability the rest of the day whenever you don't have your anchor meals. I think having sort of an anti-fragile mindset and being able to roll whenever randomness gets thrown our way is probably a hallmark of a goal or a style of dieting that can be maintained in the long term. Some quick tips that I found with anchor meals. Number 1, if you find yourself having missed an anchor meal, I would just put it at the end of the day and sort of fill in the blanks from there. So if you miss an anchor meal, you can always just shift that meal to later on in the day, or you can drop that meal altogether. Like, let's say you forgot to put one of your meals in a cooler and it's just like, it's not good anymore. You can just drop that meal off, having, pre-calculated its proteins, carbs, and fats, and tack those on at the end of the day. Number 2, if you find yourself consistently missing an anchor meal, you're gonna need to reflect on your schedule. If you're consistently missing something that should be an anchor in your schedule, you're going to need to reassess. So there have been times when my schedule has changed entirely. There have been times when the most structure, or I benefited from structure at lunch and dinner, and currently the best structure that I benefit from is breakfast and lunch, or those sort of first 2 to 3 meals in the day. And then at the end of the day, because I come home, I see my wife, I see my kids, having a little bit more flexibility at the end of the day has allowed me to spend time with them and do that. Other considerations, your jobs. I know I've worked with some people who have pretty stressful jobs, nurses, doctors, various things like that, when they really can't guarantee food or time to sit down and just have a meal right in the middle of their schedule. They are lucky to have time to chug a shake or eat a few bars. So anchor meals for them, I definitely just recommend having one first thing. So breakfast, you're basically guaranteed that. And then right when you get home, dinner. So it's really the sandwiching effect where you have anchors on 2 ends, and then anything you get in between, you can be flexible with. Additionally, if you have calories left over from sort of that flexible spending allotment you have in the middle, you can just tack those onto your last meal and hit all of your calorie, protein, carb, and fat goals as well. All of this is in service of becoming a bit more flexible, a bit more psychologically flexible, a bit more flexible in our dieting and just everything in general, because an overemphasis on optimization will tend to make us rigid, and rigid things tend to break, not bend. The next thing you're going to want to do is check out this video on mindfulness in bodybuilding. I'll give you tips on how to incorporate that around your training so that you can develop some psychological flexibility, and we can train our attention a little bit, which I think pays dividends in all areas of life.